How's it, guys? Welcome to the Wild Protea. My name is Clinton John. Thanks again for joining me. Now, obviously, you will have noticed that I'm not live on Facebook. This weekend hasn't been great for that sort of thing for me, so I've had to pre-record this week's episode, but hopefully we'll be back live again next week. Just also, if you're wondering why I'm always wearing a beanie, the thing is, I've been actually growing my hair since lockdown started, and it's getting to a bit of a tough stage now where it's not really manageable. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, it's a bit long and all over the place, but so the beanie is saving my life at the moment. But as they say, the show must go on. So before we get into things, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Also hit that notification button for all the latest from the Wild Protea and the Fed Digest group. So obviously, the latest news within the rugby side of things is Yuri Roo came out, obviously in response to what New Zealand had to say the other day, and said that New Zealand are effectively kicking themselves out of Super Rugby. And that the SANZAAR joint venture that they have in place is still in place, basically, and that they're excluding themselves, and that if you act outside of this agreement, you might be liable for some legal action as well. So New Zealand put themselves in a bit of a tricky situation there. Also, discussions are ongoing in terms of next year with 2021 and what will happen with regards to international rugby and obviously the Super Rugby and whatever. They are in the contract, so I don't think we've seen the end of Super Rugby just yet. But it's a tough one at the moment. He also went on to say that the Rugby Championship could remain, but sever ties within the Super Rugby franchise sort of thing that they have going on. So, in other words, we could still have the Rugby Championship with Argentina, Australia, New Zealand, and us, but maybe just the Super Rugby thing is going to be divided up. Obviously, I think Australia is looking to go into the Asian side of things. I think New Zealand want to have like the Pacific Island vibe with like them and maybe Samoa, or I don't know what they want to do, but they want to do something else. So and then we obviously have to find our own competition to play in. Then he went on to say that unbundling of Super Rugby has to be a SANZAAR executive decision. If someone makes a unilateral decision, in other words, if someone decides they want to leave, then, like I said earlier, they open themselves up to legal action against them. Obviously, there has to be some kind of uniform decision in terms of their joint venture agreement that they've entered into. And then, if all parties want to part ways, then Super Rugby will be done, like I just said. SA Rugby, he then said as CEO, his plans haven't changed. He still wants to, look at possibilities of maximizing the rugby brand commercially, and also the rugby might. When he says rugby might, I think he's talking about in terms of internationally our standing in rugby, and how good we are, and getting how well respected our players are and stuff like that, and making sure that they have the best opportunities available, both locally and abroad. He did also say that there are two strong alternatives in the north, that obviously being the Pro 14 and probably something like the Heineken Cup or something like that as well. So they are exploring other avenues, and this has been an ongoing thing. My personal opinion, I think it's a strange time. COVID-19 has sort of put the brakes on, you know, a lot of sport, and made people rethink, you know, sports and the way they're going to go about it. For me, it just seems like, you know, New Zealand want to have their own thing, and they don't want to include anyone. And I don't know, we've had this rivalry going for such a long time. Now, if we play against them only once, or you know, a few times in the rugby championship a season, is that rivalry going to continue? You know, for the first few years it might, but after that it might be just like another test match. What I would like to see is maybe instead of the rugby championship, have those like 2-3 week tours, or 4-5 week tours, where you tour New Zealand, you tour Australia or something like that, or tour them together in a 6-7 week combination thing, and you play, you know, a match every week, and then you also get to play against maybe some of the local clubs. You know, get some of the younger, or the guys the first time in the box setup, get them, you know, blooded in against the club guys and stuff like that. So maybe this will be a return to the tours of old. You know, when the teams used to tour for you know, a couple of weeks and stuff like that. That could be quite nice if they brought back that old school feel of those tours. That could be something that might be really interesting for us. You know, because they try to structure these you know, these tournaments, but in all honesty, New Zealand have really dominated the rugby championship for a long time, and Super Rugby for that matter. So maybe this is a good thing, and maybe there's more money to be made in Europe as well, and in terms of the franchise game. But it looks like the franchises probably will be split up. I don't know what's going to happen with our local stuff. Obviously, you know, New Zealand and Australia have pressed on. I must admit, I'm watching the Super Rugby Aratoa, and you know, it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. Enjoying just watching rugby again, actually. The Australian stuff, I don't know. It just seems boring to me. I'm not sure why, but I just can't get into the Australian rugby. I think it's possibly the way that New Zealand play their rugby. You know, obviously they like to throw it around, and you know, the game today was no exception. This morning, Crusaders and Hurricanes was an absolute cracker of a game. Hurricanes, so I think they won by 2 points or something like that, but it was an awesome game. And if we could have some rugby back, please, Uncle Cyril, please let us play rugby again. Or any friggin' sport, you know. We had that stupid 3TC the other day, which I don't want to be swearing here, so yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea, if you put it that way. And then in other rugby news, Chili Boy Ralapele. Now, if you remember Chili Boy, he played for South Africa for a number of years, also captained the Springbok side, I think in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. But he tested positive for a banned substance. Now, this is, and he's subsequently been banned for rugby for 8 years. Now, this is his third positive test, but there was a test in 2010 that they did which revealed a false positive. So I'm not sure how that works now. If it's 2 strikes or 3 strikes, you're out or something like that. But it's been, so he's obviously wanting to appeal this decision, and it's because he believes he's been wronged, and he wants to correct you know, what's happened. He did have a statement. He says, "I refuse to be the fall guy for a corrupt system determined to destroy the lives of players of color. I won't stop until my name is cleared," he said. He went on to say, "Black players are held to a different standard. Racial inequality still exists in rugby, and he will do all he can to fight for future generations so that they don't have to fight this fight." So obviously, you know, with the whole Black Lives Matter movement at the moment, bringing up a very touchy subject for him, he feels he's been wronged, and he feels he's been wronged because of the color of his skin. You know, it's a difficult time at the moment for people, for everyone, because we have to listen to these heartbreaking stories of, our heroes of yesteryear, and the stories of Makai and Tini and others on Twitter as well that I've seen, Alvira Peterson, and just to name a few guys. So I think now's the time for us to, like I said last week, for us to sit back and listen, absorb, take on information, listen to what these guys really have to say in terms of what they've been through, and then press forward with solutions going forward. It can't keep happening. So like he says, he wants to clear his name and make sure it doesn't happen to future generations of young black players. Right, that's the cricket stuff done. So on to some sorry, that was rugby. On to some cricket stuff now. Now CSA came out with a statement in terms of their commitment towards Black Lives Matter and transformation in South Africa and that sort of thing. And they have a transformation committee which has come up with a response strategy to address the following issue. They're going to have a transformation ombudsman whose core function will be to include the management of the independent components system, convene a national SJN Imbizo, and provide assurance regarding the extent to which transformation programs are being impactful in society. So a bit of some long words there, but basically what I get from that is just seeing if transformation is working in the broader community, and implementing new plans to help transformation, the ease of transformation in the sport. Then also they want to engage in the healing, restoration and uniting process of cricket players, fans and the nation, starting with disgruntled former players as well. So obviously trying to bring us all together in listening to our heroes from yesteryear, their stories, and also listening to the guys who played with them, the guys who played with Makai and Tina. I think that's going to be important as well. Not much has been said. Sean Pollock did make a statement, but it was a nothing statement really. I think that once we've heard all the stories and stuff like that, I think that these other players need to come out and say, you know what, we were wrong. It was maybe I don't know what they're going to say, but they need to apologize, and their actions moving forward need to speak volumes. I think guys like Sean Pollock, Graham Smith, whether they haven't, if they haven't apologized, in person to Makai, I think they need to. And Pollock did say that Graham Smith did talk to Makai, so that's hopefully things can be I don't want to say forgotten, but hopefully we can not get over it either, but discuss what happened to him and make sure that it doesn't happen in future. I like one little thing that he had to say to Graham, which was he asked if he's going to look after his son Tando Ntini. So having a little slight dig there at Graham. And then this transformation committee also are going to look at they're going to form a restoration fund aimed at opportunities lost through discrimination. Now that's going to be a tough one, because how do you determine how they lost their opportunity, the player's opportunity through discrimination? Is going to be a tough one, because maybe someone was performing badly, but then you also have to look at the situation as well. So you can't just say, look, you got 5 ducks in a row and we dropped you. Maybe this guy's an opening batsman and he's batting at 8-9. He's despondent, he's lost hope. So he decides, well, I'm going to throw my wicket away. I don't give a shit really, because I'm not playing what I'm supposed to be playing. So I think they're going to have to take in the situation into account with all of these guys. It's going to be a long process, I believe, because there's a lot of just looking on like I say, looking on Twitter. That's why I want to bring everything, into one place where we can discuss things, because I think that it's desperately needed in this country. Looking at all the things that people are saying on Twitter and Facebook, and even, I won't mention names, but a mate of mine says it's still going on now in schoolboy cricket here in Cape Town. So it's something that we have to discuss. We have to talk about. We have to have these long, hard conversations, and we have to have a long, hard look at, our parents and our parents' parents and the way we were raised as white people, and ask ourselves some questions, and what we can do to help. At the end of the day, like I said previously, if you want to learn anything about race and racism, the Fair Diet is the perfect place to be, guys. Subscribe there; you won't be disappointed. And then lastly, on the CSA committee, they want to promote and intensify intensify diversity, belonging, and inclusivity program, and implement that. So obviously that's in terms of, I believe that's in terms of like players and diversifying the player pool in South Africa more, so that and reach out more to discover more players of color and female players and stuff like that. So it's a start. We have to wait and see, obviously, what's going to happen with all of these huge plans that they have. It's not always easy to implement these plans, but especially now, COVID time and whatever, and moving forward with COVID, we don't know what's going to happen, especially in our country. So it's a tough time at the moment, but hopefully, we can get to a place where everyone has an equal opportunity. At the end of the day, that's especially in sport and just in life, just in general, that's all that people of color want. They just want an equal opportunity at life. And, for the most part, a lot of them don't get that. So it's something that we need to strive towards, and something that I believe in personally. Hopefully one day we can get there. It's going to be a long process, but I believe we can do it. Right. Last but not least, football news. SAFA joined the Black Lives Movement. They have encouraged athletes to come forward and tell their stories. More athletes. They obviously acknowledge the likes of McCallantini, Alvira Peters, and the guys who have come forward so far. And so they're putting their voice behind it as well, and saying, this is enough now. We have to do all we can to stop the opportunities being lost by people of color. Sia Kolisi also has added his story. The Sia Kolisi story really is sad for me. He says that growing up he felt like he was never important, and only when he started to become a rugby player did he feel some semblance of importance. But even then he struggled. Even when he first made the Springbok team, he said he felt stupid, and he had to ask his mates to help him with the rugby calls, because they were all in Afrikaans and stuff like that, and he had to translate it from Afrikaans to English and then to Xhosa as well. So just giving us a little bit of his journey there, and you could see that it was heartfelt, and you could see his passion behind this movement. He said also that he wants to make sure that no young child anywhere in the country feels like they're unimportant. He wants to make sure that everyone feels they're important. Like I said before, it's just equal opportunities. It just wants to make sure that everyone has equal opportunity to be successful, and that's all anyone can really ask. So that is all the news I have for you for today, guys. So one thing I wanted to just do on the channel, just like as a fun sort of way of maybe getting to know me and maybe getting to know you guys as well, is I want to start doing a challenge every week. So I want you guys to challenge me to do something, and it can be anything. Obviously, try and like keep it PG, guys, because obviously we want as many people to be watching this as possible as well. So like whether it's a tap challenge, like tapping the soccer ball or cricket bat and a ball, something like that, or crossbar challenge or whatever. I will do my best to do these challenges within the week, record them, and have them on the video. If I go live, obviously I'll have the challenge separate to a live thing. So that'll be that. But yeah, so get your challenges in, get commenting. I'd love to hear from you guys what you want to challenge me on. Even if it's like a general knowledge challenge about sports or something, it doesn't matter, guys. We'll see what comes in, and I'll have a challenge up for next week. I'll decide this week, but get the suggestions in. I'd love to hear from you guys. Also, guys, let me know what you think about what I'm trying to do here, trying to create a South African fan channel. Obviously, I wanted to be more interactive. I wanted to be more like we're having a conversation, and I think that'll come in time. With some more live videos and some more guests that I have lined up for us. It's a bit difficult now, but we'll have more guests on in future. Otherwise, guys, that's all I have for you. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend and good Sunday. And I'll see you again next week, Friday. Cheers for now. Have a good one.